And welcome to the Pastor's Podcast, Wednesday morning, middle of the week, getting in almost the middle. Well, it is the middle of the month, I should say. And here we are trying to get through this month and doing our best for the Lord. Hope that you had a great day on yesterday, and we've had a really good day. Yesterday was our annual planning meeting for our church to plan all of 2025, and looking like it's going to be a great year, what our focus is going to be on. And now we finish out this year right. We've got the fall campaign getting ready to start a week from Sunday. And the theme of the campaign is abounding and looking forward for God to do something mighty in our church in those 4 weeks of a push, ending out with our annual hog roast on the final Sunday of our campaign. Looking forward to seeing what God's going to do. Truly always excited about seeing God's going to do. It's before the build up before. If you're not careful, you can always say, man, is anything going to happen? And then all of a sudden, boom, man, people get involved. And even had a text on yesterday, someone saying, hey, preacher, when's all this start? And I like that when people are saying that as we go forward, trying to see what God can do in our lives, trying to make an impact on the lost and for Christ and in the lives of believers to grow in the Lord. That's what we look forward to. And I hope that's what you're doing wherever you are and in your church. Well, Nehemiah chapter 2 and in verse 18, the scripture says, then I told them of the hand of my God, which was good upon me, as also the king's words that he had spoken unto me. And they said, let us rise up and build. So they strengthened their hands for this good work. Now, there's a foolish narrative among brethren that sounds spiritual, but is a tool of Satan to keep God's churches from growing and keeps preachers from desiring to build a church. The narrative they like to use is that God builds. They say this in such a way that we're to sit, and the statement itself sounds spiritual, but when you really look at what they're saying, you have to understand it's almost as if I just sit here and God's going to build my church. Now, this may sound spiritual, but this mentality is leading to churches closing down all around the world, or churches shrinking in size because they're playing instead of trying to reach the lost for Jesus Christ. Now, let's think about this mentality for a moment. This mentality is like saying God saves the lost. Yes, God does save the lost, but he saves the lost through the soul winner giving the gospel. The lost don't run to the saved, and they don't say, hey, what must I do to be saved? That's the dumbest thing in all the world for people to think, because nobody's doing that. If that was so, everybody would be leading someone to Christ every week. But the truth is, there's so many lazy believers who never one time tell someone how to go to heaven. What a shame. Romans 10:14 makes this clear when it says, how then shall they call on him in whom they've not believed? How shall they believe in him in whom they've not heard? How shall they hear without a preacher? Nobody can get saved without hearing the gospel. And God commissions the believer to be the preacher of the gospel. Yes, God does the saving, but he uses people to preach the gospel so that he can save the lost. Now, God doesn't build something through lazy believers who sit and do nothing, but he builds his church. Get this now. Through diligent believers who work to build something by faith. God used Noah to build the ark. Did God build the ark? Yes, but he did it through Noah. The church in Jerusalem would have never grown had the apostles sat and waited for God to build the church. In fact, while the apostles stood gazing into heaven, an angel, you might remember the angel came, and Acts 1:11 says, ye men of Galilee, why stand you gazing up into heaven? The angel is saying to the disciples, man, get busy. What are you all doing standing here looking up? God did build the church of Jerusalem, but he did it through the works of the church members and the apostles. If these had not worked, God would not have built the great church in Jerusalem. God never builds anything without people trying to build something. Have a desire to build something for God. If you don't have a desire to build something for God, God can never use you to build something for his purpose and his cause. God builds great works through those who have a desire for God to build something through them. And there's never been one great work of God built through someone who did not have a desire for God to build a great work through them. Not only that, but God also only builds something through those who work to build something for him. So for instance, in the book of Revelation, God mentions 13 times the works of the church. God looks for a church that is working to do something for him. And he chooses to work through that church. 2 Chronicles 16:9 says, for the eyes of the Lord run to and fro throughout the whole earth to show himself strong on the behalf of them whose heart is perfect toward him. Now, how does God see someone who has a heart to show his mighty works through them? He sees this through the works of faith, that they attempt to do something great for him. So if you have desire to build something great for God by faith for God and work hard towards that desire, you'll find that God will work through you to build a great work. A desire alone is not enough. A lot of people have a desire, but they don't work it. They just wait. You got to have that desire, and then you work it, and you work it hard. And my friend, this is what you'll find. When you have that desire and you work it hard, God can use you. Do you desire for your Sunday school class to be built? Okay, then you got to work it. Now, if you don't even have a desire for your class to be built, then you need to get your heart right with God. Simple as that. Do you desire for your bus route to grow? Do you have a desire? So, well, you know what? Whatever God gives me, that's what I'm going to do. That's the dumbest mentality, because you've got to have a desire. Man, I want to build a great bus route. Why? You're reaching the lost. But that desire, you got to work it. If you're only going out in your bus route 2 hours a week, you might as well just decide, I'm never going to build anything for God, because you don't build something on 2 hours. Now, I've got to ask you a question. Is the hour's work to build something worth it when you consider there's a heaven and a hell? That's what you got to look at. There is a real heaven. There is a real hell. And you and I need to decide that we will do what it takes. It does take desire. Boy, some people just need to get desire. But then you turn that desire into work, and you work hard. Don't just do a little token job. You work hard, and God will use you to build something great for him. I remember Brother Hiles years ago, he did a pastor school on the young Jack Hiles, and he went through his schedule. Well, what he did as a young preacher. And by the end, he says, you know how I built this church? He says, hard work. That's what he said. Now, my friend, that's what it's going to take. Build something, you got to work hard. I hope this helps. Now, let's remember today, be good to everyone. Everyone.